Welcome to the 10th episode of Drams and Dragons. I'm your host, Gus Berger, and with me is my co-host and cross-continent bromantic partner, Dustin Van Horn.
Right when I was drinking the water, Gus.
Oh, you're all right there?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, well, it's nice to see you, Gus. I enjoy.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy a saucy intro every time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and come up with something every time now. I'll try not to get you with when you're drinking water. So
it's a good one. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Yeah, we took a week off. Things got crazy as they do. And it's nice to finally be back and recording with you, man.
Yeah. Likewise. Technically, our audience won't know that we're a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Oh, it's a secret. Yeah, I know, because we recorded the prior week, and then I scheduled it so it went out on Wednesday, just like normal, seamless. And then, and then we'll put this one out tomorrow, and no one will be the wiser that we actually didn't do anything last week. So
how the sausage is made here.
Yeah, I will say I got way ahead on my reading last week, though.
Yeah,
I'm like way ahead. I'm gonna have to reread everything again.
Yeah,
because I'm so far ahead. So for it to be fresh,
right?
So, oh man, I did.
Glad you got ahead, man.
Yeah,
I fell behind because it was like family stuff. So yeah, I started a couple things. I got into Scholomance.
Scholomance, or how the hell are you?
Scholomance.
It's like school. It's like a school, right?
Yeah. I
don't say that you're going to school.
No.
No. So it should be Scholomance, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it. It seems. It's not. It's never been clear to me, but I feel like that's probably
back to the old WoW days, and what did we call it back then? And I realized I never said it out loud. So
yeah, I know. Same here.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that at some point. I really like that series. I just finished the third book in that series. I enjoyed it, but we're not talking about that today. What we're actually here to talk about is the next book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman, which is called The Gate of the Feral Gods. I didn't forget it that time.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later, but because first, let's taste a little bit of, you're going to have some whiskey, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to have, we'll just say something. I'm kind of worried. I'm just going and buying
Carl
stupid
episode,
stuff. So. Yeah, it's a Dungeon Crawler Carl episode. Exactly. Somebody's got to try something weird, you know? So I don't know. I'll go first in case,
Let's have it, man. I'm excited. And I don't know what this is, by the way. This
yeah.
great.
So I am having, it's Sugarland's Shine. Again, Sugarland's, but this is not their moonshine. What I'm going to try today is their Sippin' Cream, specifically their banana pudding cream liqueur.
Did they do the apostrophe, like an apostrophe sippin', or is it like SIPPIN?
SIPPIN apostrophe Sippin' Cream. And I'm kind of questioning why on earth I decided to go this route. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I accidentally made a face when you said sippin' cream.
Yeah.
Godspeed, Gus. Godspeed. Now, Gus, is this the same brand as the last one that we liked?
Yeah, it's the same brand as the peach one that I liked a lot. That's why I was like, I wanted to give them a shot because I remember when you did yours, or when you did the what were they called? Old Smoky.
I was gonna say I purged it from my memory.
I don't know. Yours was one of these cream things. It's like moonshine based by a moonshine. You did that, and it was horrific. So I kind of was like, I want to give the other one a shot to see if it's drinkable, even a little bit, right?
It's creamy.
It is creamy. The smell right out of it just smells like banana pudding, it's banana pudding cream liqueur. It smells like, the instant banana pudding.
Yeah.
It smells exactly like that.
It's got some nostalgia action.
Yeah, there is a little, exactly. There is some of that going on with the smell. It's interesting. I get the banana.
Okay.
Somewhat, but I will say I don't know if it's actually in the ingredients. I get coconut flavor.
Okay.
It's very strange. It tastes It smells way better than it tastes. It actually is pretty awful. I don't recommend this. I'm not going to start gagging
right away.
But I'm not going to have any more. I'm not going to have any more, man. Okay. That's not good. That's really bad. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they did set a high bar with the peach because it smelled good and it just tasted like peaches. It didn't taste awful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it just tasted like peach nectar liqueur, right? It actually tasted like good. It didn't taste like fake peach. This tastes as artificial as you get.
Okay.
This is not good. I do not recommend. While I would recommend the Sugarland Shine Peach one, I do not recommend this Sippin' Cream. Okay. That is not good. That is not good.
They lost me at sipping. Something about sipping is just it.
So now I'm curious what you've got.
Oh, well, I've got birthday whiskey.
All right. Well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a big one. It's my 40th. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one because I was like, all right, I got this great bottle of whiskey, but I'm gonna have a tiny little bit because I'm 40 now. And I feel it for like 2 days.
Oh God.
So I've been very responsibly having small drams. And this one's fun. Most whiskeys get memories attached to them, right?
Yeah.
And either people or experiences happen to get linked up. So mine today is the Talisker Storm. And it's actually really interesting to drink this now because the last time I drank it was probably 2014 or 2015, and it left a mark. I was whiskey tasting with my wife, and we both really liked it. And so now, after like a decade trying it again, I've got a little more experience. I know a little more about whiskeys, and I still love it. But it kind of fits into this interesting category. So the Talisker Storm, it's kind of an experience whiskey. They call it the Storm because when you drink it, it's very subtle and it builds. And then the storm crashes. It's a storm of flavor and deliciousness. And then it rumbles away like thunder.
Yeah, and Talisker is not one I have ever had the pleasure of trying. So it's on my list. I don't know if I'd try the Storm first or the 10 first or whatever. It's on my list to get, but
I would. I mean, like most of the Talisker Storm, that category I was telling you about, it's almost like the Offerman version of the Lagavulin. Like it's a younger whiskey.
Yeah.
That they're kind of packaging in a way and doing something special with to still make it like a real tasty, good experience. And they do add, I was surprised. Now I'm looking everywhere for this. They do add a little color to it to make it seem more mature.
Yeah. Well, and where is Talisker?
The Isle of Skye.
The Isle of Skye.
Yeah. Which apparently is just like how it sounds. It's like a stark, rugged landscape with wood and rough oceans and stuff like that.
So this is peated, right? Talisker is peated.
Yeah, it's peated.
Oh, sorry, what's the percentage on the bottle?
The 45.8%.
Okay, so they're hitting that. They're getting to that magic number basically where they don't have to chill filter. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a younger Scotch, but it's still a quality Scotch. And my memories of it, the peat was perfect. It was perfectly balanced with the flavor, and it's different than like the Islay Scotches that I've liked, which is the feature of Scotch, right? Like every one you get is a reflection of where it was made, the specific ingredients to it. So the first thing, it's a very sumptuous whiskey, and I don't know if you can really see the legs in that. There's not a whole lot of them. It's a very it's got a really nice oily mouthfeel.
Gotcha.
But here we'll go with the smell first. So right off the bat, you get brine. I get apples and like just wood. You know, it's like a Viking longboat or something like that. I don't know if that's a good one. It smells like the sea, and it smells
Smells nautical.
It's just nautical, and
Uh,
it's got all the spice, like a kind of a spicy scent to it. It's very rich and luxuriant and like exotic smelling. The experience is supposed to be in the taste here, so I'll try to do a blow by blow here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, it starts off real subtle, and then it builds very quickly in strength, and it kind of overwhelms the palate for a second, and then it's got a real long finish on it. Like it's still working and it's still changing after my sip. So this is one of those whiskeys you can take a small sip on and enjoy the mouthfeel for minutes afterwards.
Nice.
It's lovely. And it does it in a way that it's different from other whiskeys. The storm part of it really is. It's like a cacophony of flavors. The peat comes through. It's very well balanced. You can definitely tell it's a younger whiskey too. It's got, and it's hard for me to even put into words the difference in taste. The way the peat works in it, it kind of makes up for it. But I get like a pointed ripe fruit flavor with the spices and with the peat mixed in. So it's like smoky ripe fruit, and like we're talking like berry kind of flavor, like acidic fruit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Acidic, and but not in a sweet way. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So yeah, this one I could probably talk about for a while and try to get different flavors out of. And I think this is why it made such an impression back in the day, because you taste it and you're like, what is that? What is going on? Because when it hits, it just explodes. That is why they call it the Storm. So
well, it sounds wonderful. Talisker's one that has been on my list for a while here. So
it's lovely. They have a large catalog too. I was surprised. And yeah, it was a surprise to me too. I thought the Storm was one of their higher models. It's actually a very affordable, just like the Nick Offerman version. Young whiskey in like the $60 range. So it's pretty accessible and a good way to kind of test out the Talisker experience.
Nice.
But yeah, it's cool. It's kind of a new area. I usually get stuck in Islay with those distilleries. So
yeah,
I will admit to you, when looking on a map, Scotland is a little confusing to me. So I wasn't ruling out that the Isle of Skye was Islay.
No, it's the Isle is to the south, basically.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The Isles, they're near each other, though. They are near each other. Really, they're on the same coast.
But yeah, it's a definite recommend for me. It's an experience.
Just from the look on your face when you first were sipping it, I knew it was going to be a recommend.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. There was like, I know that like we're putting these out so far anyway, just on Spotify. But if you could see his face when he drank it, it was like pure bliss.
Yeah.
Right. That is basically, as far as I can tell, it's like Dustin's favorite whiskey, basically, right? Like
I would say it's probably
it's up like there
with Lagavulin. I was very happy when I got it for my birthday.
There you go.
You knew. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real special. It's like and it's like a dragon I've been chasing for years. It's one of those tastes that it sticks out in your brain, which is interesting for a taste to stick out like that. Shoot, let's talk about books. Yeah.
Let's.
Oh.
Yeah. So as I said before, we're going to be talking about The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman, the fourth book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. A couple weeks ago, we talked about, it feels like forever ago, I've been like sick multiple times and like,
yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's been a long time since we talked about the third book. Just to sort of set up what we're talking about, every single book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, as they go through this world dungeon, and I strongly recommend going back if you're just coming into this whole thing. I strongly recommend, if you've never read the books, you haven't heard our podcast, go listen before you finish this one. Go listen to the previous Dungeon Crawler Carl, podcasts that we've done, because there's a lot of information that you're going to need.
Yeah.
to understand the context for this. So each floor of the world dungeon has like, it has a different setup and a different, would you say gimmick or different
Game design, maybe like
different game kind of a different game. It's like a different game show, right? And so on this floor, the crawlers are now split up. Like in the last book, everybody kind of like your world expanded, and now it's shrinking back down. Everybody in this level is split up basically into these small groups with like random people in these weird bubble worlds. And each bubble is split up into sort of these, was it 3 or 4 concentric bubbles?
Yeah, there's like an upper, a mid, and a lower level or something like that, right?
But they're all like bubbles within bubbles, kind of.
Yeah.
And when you pop your bubble, you can go into the other bubbles that you're grouped with. Yeah. And only when all of the problems in the bubble are in the concentric bubbles are solved can you go out of that and into the wider level to go into other bubbles and help other people potentially. It's very claustrophobic, I have to say, at the start of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Because the last book ended and Carl and Princess had made all these friends. They'd made all these allies. They'd made all these acquaintances. The whole train system was open and everybody was like, the world had expanded in a sense.
Together,
Yeah, exactly. They're working together. And then in this, immediately the people running the dungeon are just like, nope, no more working together. You're all trapped, stuck away from each other.
And only established groups get to stay together.
Yeah, like parties, right?
Yeah.
And so Carl and Donut and Katya are all together, but they're with a bunch of scrubs because they're all like these high level.
Yeah.
They're these like high level popular, crawlers.
Yeah.
And virtually everybody else in their bubble that they're paired with is a nobody. They're underleveled. They're terrible. Like some of them are like, have just been like coasting, and there's no coasting here. You can't coast and get through. Their little part of the bubble has an air and desert theme.
Doesn't Donut jump the gun and select that for them without really thinking it through? Or was it random? Can you remind me if it was random or selected?
They were given several options, and Donut's like, boop, which she often does. This is like a running gag with Donut.
It elicited a damn it, Donut,
Damn yeah. It. Oh, God damn it, Donut. Yeah. At least one character like refuses to make the choice and just sits in the room with the choice like unmade.
Oh, yeah.
What stood out to you in this? Total claustrophobia inducing like clusterfuck of a level.
The way I kind of thought about it was almost like there were 3 different levels. There was like the upper, and then if they went down far enough, it was like there's people below them in the concentric bubble kind of thing. And it was interesting because they couldn't really communicate with one another. They all had to rely on each other though. They had this system. The game was basically all 3 of the groups in each of the bubbles.
Yeah, well, it was like a terrible group project, right?
Yeah, where you can't really like, oh god, it was a chaos element like that because you had groups unwittingly stepping on each other's toes, and basically they all had to work together. All 3 separate groups had to solve like their own little puzzles in order to get out of their bubble and help the other group. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes the solves for the puzzles would interact with one another in various ways.
Like they repeatedly broke each other's solution or whatever, like repeatedly. Like at one point they flood, like because the water level gets solved first, and they end up flooding the underground layer. Yeah. It's like, and those guys are like screwed. They're just screwed. It just floods it, and they're already like basically screwed because there's like it's like a horrible dungeon and there's traps everywhere. Yep. And then they interact and they end up killing the gnome that they need to live. Like the underground people end up killing oh god.
Which is the other element I think that stood out. Like, they got gnomes and camel people, and a hidden third faction of shapeshifters. that are kind of mysterious and do a bunch of stuff. So I think that's what stuck out to me. It was a completely different experience than the other books. We've talked previously about my suspicions that Matt Dinniman maybe was like a game dev who like decided to write novels. Maybe he was in the Coast Guard, but like I thought it was really cool. By this point, I was like, he did it again. This guy wrote a book with an interesting game present, like a game idea that not only was interesting to read, but helped develop the characters and in a way that was satisfying. And this one definitely felt to me like the powers that be treating human beings like ants. Their deaths were funny and just flippant, which Carl's going through some stuff right now, and he's building up. There's kind of a mystery building with what's going on with Carl. He's getting more militant about being pissed off, that humanity's being treated this way. So yeah, I guess that's the long answer to the question. Like, I just stood out to me that this was a completely unique kind of new set of stuff, and it was complicated. It was just as epic as the other books. So, which I guess we'll get into more later. But what about you? What was your standouts for this?
I thought the book was kind of slow until all of a sudden it isn't anymore. It's like when they first start, it's like the first half of the book practically is just them trying to solve the bubble that they're in. So it's like they're just trying to solve this thing where basically they have to beat some boss or destroy something and then take over the castle of that level.
Yeah.
At which point their bubble pops and they can get out into the rest of the thing. And then they only have so many days to solve the whole thing so that they can open the stairway and go down to the next level.
The setup is long.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And sorry to interrupt.
No worries. Yeah, go for it.
Well, when we were talking about the last book, I think that was something you said about the last book too, which was like, it was kind of a slow build up. And
yeah. And I'll say, I thought the first two books didn't really have that slow build up. I felt like it was like fast right from the get go. And I appreciated that about the first two. And both the third and fourth books both have that. I both have that complaint for both of them. Is that they start out very slow. There's a lot of minutia and little things and little investigations and Carl thinking about new bombs to build and stuff. And that it's fine. It's fine. It's not quite as bad in this book as it was in the last book. I think he toned that down a little bit. He streamlined the early part of the book a little bit because they still have to solve the thing. And then they have to, they're dealing with gnomes and airships and blowing up zeppelins and like these crazy fights. But then you get into the second half of this book and it's as wild a ride as ever. It's, in fact, by the end of it, it's the biggest one yet in terms of the scope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gods being summoned, like the feral gods, right? And then, so they're summoning these feral gods. They have this teleporter, and they're basically, so Carl, this big theme throughout the whole thing is his anger about what is being done to humanity in the world dungeon. It's a huge theme. You sort of alluded to it a minute ago, where he's got this rage, the "you will not break me" thing that he's constantly. But then at some point, is it in this book where it starts being "you will not break me, I will break you"?
Yeah.
It changes. It expands.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this theme now where he's like kind of going on the offensive, and he has plans that he doesn't share with people. And they get this item that allows them to teleport. When they teleport, they summon a god, which summons another god because I guess it summons a feral god. And then the fact that a feral god got summoned summons their enemy. Right. So there's these gods battling across this entire level.
Yeah.
But he also uses it by the end of this book. He's like using it to send shit. He basically floods a lower level that they can't even get to yet because the levels are below them. So he actually like is attacking the enemy on like a meta level and kind of getting in trouble for it. Right.
Yeah, he's breaking the game a little bit,
Yeah, he is. He is absolutely breaking the
Finding
game.
an exploit. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. He's finding exploits. He's finding ways of like fucking with the game,
As being an anarchist. Yeah.
which is what his thing is. It's
Yeah.
also the cookbook that he got uh previously on the previous level, the previous book. This anarchist cookbook is giving him recipes, it's giving him ideas, it's giving him all kinds of things, and he's striking back. I'm not going to spoil the next one, but it gets bigger from here. This is the book I feel like where it begins, where that changes. He starts undergoing this change.
And a shout out to our Reddit listeners. There's hubbub on forums. I've gotten nerdy about these books, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
And something I see a lot is and this stuff I've been thinking about too, like his class that he chose, his well, I guess his race.
Are you talking about the primal?
Yeah, he's a primal.
Yeah, he's a
Right?
primal. That's his race, right? That's the yeah.
Yeah, and there's been some cool threads about that, like some of the change, like what does being a primal mean? Obviously, we know it changes a lot about people. We have proof that like the stone guy, he thinks differently, he speaks differently. Um, that doesn't just change your physiology; it can change like your perspective. So,
Although we actually learn what the hell was going on with Chris in this
yeah,
book, because it wasn't his race that changed. It was that he's been taken over
brain.
by a brain. We're gonna. I mean, there's spoilers, right? He's being taken
Yeah,
over by a brain worm. Well, I mean, we can spoil that because it's kind of relatively early, and then that's something for them to solve by the end of the book,
yeah,
right? There's some amazing scenes in this book, though.
yeah,
I thought the scene, the underwater fight, where they like from inside the creature, like they get swallowed in like a ship in the
yeah.
water. It's so again, there's these concentric circles, and one of the ones that they have to go to solve the final sort of thing is they have to go into the underwater level, like all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, and essentially fight this like monstrously huge like shark thing.
Megalodon style. Like,
Yeah, but like way bigger, right? Like just massive, like a kaiju sized like
yes,
shark thing. And that's wild. That fight is insane.
and it's got the classic Dinniman style where they use their abilities, their items in really creative ways to bust out of it and get
Mhm.
out of that situation. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that's what gets me about all these scenes because yeah, there's some amazing scenes and they're so rich because he actually uses character development and you get the payoff for
Dude.
the little seeds that he plants, and then you got this crazy boss fight, and then actually do the
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah,
The one other thing I want to talk about is we get a new character in this. I mean, you get lots of new characters all the time, right? New characters are coming and going, but you get a new character that's fairly significant, who's named, where they name her Samantha.
Samantha.
And she's the demigod possessed head of a sex doll. She's hilarious. I mean,
Yeah,
she like one of the something she constantly says is like, "I'll kill your mother." Like she just like says that like every at the end of every sentence, she just ends every sentence. She's like really aggressive, but she's just stuck in this head.
yeah. So she'll come up non people, but it's a sex doll.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work. She's, uh, but she's actually a really funny character. She's a really entertaining character. I'll say she makes it to the next book. She's in the next book. She's great. I feel like I don't know if he planned that when he wrote her in this book. Probably not, but she was too good a character to like let go of. So he found a way to keep her with them. She's a really entertaining character.
There's a lot of good jokes that you can do with a sex doll head, and he
Mhm.
definitely delivers on them.
Yeah.
And there's some, oh geez, yeah, you got to keep reading with her. Very rewarding after a while. There's some things she does. What do you think about the way Matt Dinniman characterizes like the demon lords and stuff? because there's a theme to it. With it was almost like I don't want to say like like the South Park version of a redneck, where they're just like they're always fighting and drinking the beer and talking about this and that, and there's this vibe whenever she talks where she's always, it's like Jersey Shore style stuff where she's always like bickering with her other demon, the other people in the underworld and stuff. And you get a lot of this great dialogue later. And then in this book, you get, there's this like sass to her, and there's this like cultural undertone that's really funny to me. It makes me wonder where he got it. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's an animosity like that. These characters, like these sort of feral god, demon, demigod characters have with each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like they often really don't like each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, mostly it's really entertaining. I don't, yeah.
But see, Samantha will talk about it. She'd be like, "That's skank."
Yeah. Just randomly. Yeah. No, it's like, skank. She's like the worst. It's like the worst. I mean, she's basically like a demon demigod head thing, right? Or spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just the worst, basically. I mean, I think that's like kind of where he's going with that is he's just, when he's writing it, he's just like, what would the worst person say? Right. Like it's like somebody from a Jerry Springer like show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's except that she can't go like rip their hair out because she's stuck in a sex doll head. And so she just says what she would say and
growls.
Yeah. Yeah. Growls at them and tries to unsuccessfully to bite them. But I get the sense that it's like a Jerry Springer character kind of.
Yeah.
She's supposed to, because they're just supposed to be like the worst of humanity, but they're not, because they're not human, but they're just like the worst you can be, basically. But in like a humorous kind of Jerry Springer way.
Yeah.
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 It's very funny.
Yeah. Which I guess is another great thing that keeps going through this book. It keeps you laughing.
It does. I thought this book was actually funnier than the last book. I thought Gate of the Frogans there were more just out loud laughs that it got from me than the last one did. I thought the first two were hilarious. As good as the third one was, I think it was the weakest one. This one sort of returned to form.
Yeah.
Of the first two a little bit. And in terms of the humor, the pacing, all that stuff. The next book is even better. But we'll talk about that next time. This one was great.
So what two other climactic kind of battles? There was the kind of sky.
There's so many. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the gnome kind of storyline, and then the climactic ending where the bubbles are popping and the gods are out and they're pissed.
Yeah.
And they're stomping around and there's a dog.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, I forgot about that. Oh, like how can I forget about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a god Cerberus puppy.
Yeah.
That's like that they have to get back to his master. And it's this whole thing.
It's the big flame god, right? He's like, where's my puppy?
Yeah.
And it's just a giant puppy. And this is the other thing. The AI is starting to get real wacky.
It is.
Not in a bad
way. And that'll be something to talk about more in the next book, because a lot of the stuff, like you're right, the AI is getting funky. It's getting weird. It's getting really weird.
The dog. Yeah, it's a puppy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this is all happening. Consequently, if you guys want to kill that dog, I'll give you a blah 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 box.
Oh yeah.
Fun. And
yeah, there's the fight. They don't kill Quan, but I mean Carl like fucks him up. Right. There's so much that happens in like the last quarter of this book.
Yeah.
It's just, I talked about this in the last couple of episodes. Every time something happens that's crazy, before you have a chance to react to it, the next thing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to the end and you're like, what the fuck did I just read? That was insane. I want more. That was insane. Give me the next one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I liked it even more than the last one. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? What more can one say about this series? It's insane. I think I might have more to say after when we do the next book, when you do book 5. Um,
That's what's hard about
because
doing the show on them. They flow into one another in such a way that's
they do.
it's hard to keep it to one. Um,
Yeah. I will say this one was a little longer. I think the books are, they get a little long, they're getting a little longer as they go. The first couple were a little shorter. But they're still very easy reads in terms of like they're quick. They're quick reads. They're page turners.
I think the only other thing I thought was really interesting was after the last book we were introduced to the idea that the NPCs could be you could basically break the fourth wall with them,
Mm-hmm.
and this one we get introduced to Juicebox, who's like the leader of that mysterious third faction, and that's kind of a cool direction. Yet another subplot that I thought was really cool, and I'm sure is going to have awesome payoff down the line.
Yeah.
But for the first time, Carl, he's going to try to like move NPCs between levels
Yeah.
and break the game even further, um, which fits his theme perfectly because he's breaking stuff. And
Yep.
but yeah, I think you nailed it on the head there. Where you said that this is like the book where it's really like starting to like pick up. I felt like this was the book where it really sets the stage for what's going on. All the major characters are out. We've done the tutorial. We know what's up,
Yep.
and everything's getting developed in this one, from the AI to NPCs, all the side characters, and even with side characters, man, how many additional like personalities did he introduce this book? They have like a whole crew now.
Yeah. I mean, another, I would
Like
say
Carlos.
another dozen, like major to semi-major characters have been pulled into his sort of circle. Some of them are NPCs, some of them are other crawlers, some of them are outside people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like other,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, there's yeah, probably another dozen added to his sort of circle. And some things move around and some characters, move on and
Yeah.
some characters die because it's not one of these things where like it's perfectly, characters are dying left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very fluid in that way. The cast of characters is constantly changing,
Yeah.
but it definitely is expanding at this point because Carl is not sort of cynically leaving people behind, right? He's angrily trying to get as many people to survive as possible.
Because that's what the game wants him to do. The game wants to kind of devolve and not care about people and
Mm-hmm.
dog eat dog kind of thing. So yeah, he's just again, it's like right in line with his character.
Yep.
I was curious, do you have like a favorite scene from that? Like if you had to choose one scene that was like your favorite or that really pops out to you?
There's a bunch of really good ones.
Yeah.
It would either be the underwater fight or that final big fight with the gods. But in particular, the piece of that I would say is when he reveals his plan and floods the lower level
Uh,
rather than doing what he's basically been telegraphing the whole time, because he's been telegraphing that, oh, he's going to do this one big thing to hurt the bad guys in this way, and they all they can see what he's saying or see what he's doing and hear what he's saying, and so they kind of know what he's planning, or at least they think they do, so they all make these adjustments, and then he's like, just kidding, I was gonna do this other shit the whole time, and he does this huge attack on the lower level.
yeah, like
And
the people that are waiting. Yeah.
yeah, it was just incredibly satisfying scene when he's just like, no, we're doing the other thing.
Yeah.
uh yeah, it was very cool. It was a very cool scene, very satisfying.
Cool.
So
Good one. That's in my top five of it also.
mhm.
And I agree. At the end is probably my favorite scene. If I had to put it, has a major spoiler, but I actually think I could say it without saying the spoiler because I think it's worth reading it if you haven't. But
Yeah.
yeah, the way he managed to defeat the gods without defeating them
Mhm. Yeah.
was also very satisfying and cool and just something completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it opened up. I was excited to read it because I was like, you could do so many cool things with this. And now there's like, it creates extra conflict. It creates more power, but also more um,
Yeah.
danger to using that power. And yeah, it was cool. And it gave us our first kind of eye into what gods are in this universe, in this game that's been created.
Like we've had glimpses of them before,
Yeah.
and he's fought them, but not like this.
Yeah.
Not anything like this. This is another scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. And for those who don't know, gods, they're basically NPCs, but they have enormous power and they can be, some of them can be piloted by the rich and
Mhm.
be co-opted for a cause. So yeah, it just open stuff up, and yeah, that was a real satisfying one with me. It'd be hard to balance that one with the flooding of the levels, so that was delicious.
Yeah.
And I'd say anything with Samantha in it was always gold.
Yeah.
Donut continues to be hilarious.
Yeah. We haven't really, yeah, you're right. We haven't even really talked about Donut. She's
Yeah,
a major, one of the major characters, one of the main characters of the
yeah,
book. She's amazing as always,
we
hilarious.
could do a whole
She's
podcast.
working some things behind the scenes too that we'll find out about next time that are
Yes.
very cool. I'm actually like I enjoyed this book a lot. I
Mm,
recommend it. I'm way more excited to talk about the next Carl book.
mm.
I thought it was fantastic. And we'll get into that next, not next time, but a few episodes on. We'll talk about it, sort of spread them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but this was a good one. This was a good one. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we sign off? Because I gotta get going for dinner here.
Yeah, I gotta get ready for bed, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I feel complete with this, man.
All
As
right.
always, there's so much more we could talk about. Like I said, we could
Yeah.
do a whole thing on just Donut. Um,
Hmm.
I guess that's my last reflection. Like he has the Denneman's maintained, like there's a reason we didn't spend a lot of time on like Donut and Carl. It's because they're still awesome and they're growing and they're very entertaining. They're
Hmm.
like the core of the story. Um, so yeah, it's still just A plus, man. Love it.
Yep.
Can't wait to do the next one. Yeah, it's about to get hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It is. It's gonna get spicy.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
Yes,
It's awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. It's been fun. Um, hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. And I guess yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Tell your friends, like, subscribe, and
As always, stay gold.